What's up, guys? Carmen here with Pittsburgh White Schwartz doing yet another deck tech. Doing something a little bit different this time. Wanted to mix it up and sort of do more of like a digital deck tech, something on like a slide deck. Just to sort of run down something that like we might not exactly have together, something like that. We've been having some trouble getting um, everybody together in our shops at like more of a quiet time to record. So we were thinking maybe we can mix some of these in. We can record them ourselves, put them up more sporadically, I guess, than our once a week thing, so that we have even more content going on the channel. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and I'll get into it. So I want to get into Gale Online. This is a set that came up in our meta wrap up with more representation than I think any of us thought, and I realized that we didn't have the actual meta deck on the channel, so I just want to run through it real quick. It's a pretty simple list. You guys probably know it's the normal list that you see with all the early play stuff. So just getting into it real quick, why you'd want to play this deck. So it does have that sort of early play stall strategy. You want to elongate the game at level 2, healing, heal looping. You can play a whole board of level 3s for like only 4 stock, and you heal twice when you do it. So pretty good stall strategy, and the strategy is also like very simple and consistent. I'm not saying the deck is like easy to play, but the more so that the lines of play typically aren't as complicated, and you can get that off every game without fail. And a big reason for that is because you do just get to run 8 gate. So we are going to be going over the 8 gate build today. So I'm going to get into the cards, run them down one by one. Gonna try to make this quicker than even our normal deck techs. Just sort of run through, especially now that we have a more usable visual aid than just our camera. So getting into the cards here, we have our clean cut Len. It's 3K, so basically an oversized. We run 4 of it. This is our main like sort of field plus for the deck. The drawback, which is like it gives encore to something facing it, is like basically just a not real drawback at all. Because like either it'll get run over or it'll just kill someone's garbage. It snipes someone's garbage in the front row and lets you plus with one of these other targets, like your Brainstorm, your Ricky, Drop Search, or Drop Salvage, which will pop to memory, and maybe even your tech card here. That'll help manipulate a level. We'll get into that later. But yeah, this is sort of just our main field plussing 0 for the deck. Moving on, we have this Pedo Ricky. So like all these Summoner Rickies, so this summons a cost lower to field that is your level or lower. It doesn't let you play ahead. However, unlike a lot of these that kind of are bad because they don't let you play ahead, this one has a lot of other upsides. Number one is the unique cost. It has the Nia cost, where you put the top card of your stock into your clock so you know what it is. It can help you set up colors if you know that you've triggered one of your experience targets in your stock. You can put it directly into your stock. It helps you manipulate it a little bit cleaner than just the top of your deck. And on top of that, of course, it also has Twin Drive. Twin Drive, because we're running 8 gate, makes that even better. We're just plussing like crazy. We're keeping our stock clean, giving us more opportunities to trigger gate or door, whatever you want to call it. So, and of course, the ideal target stuff you want to grab, you can grab your clean cut. You can make aggressive level 0 plays. Obviously, you can grab your level 1 bomb. And if you really need to set your experience because you've somehow bricked it at level 0, you can find your one-of from your deck, summon it, then tap it down and change your level card. So this has a lot of use for the deck. It's a really good card for you want to clean cut too, because it's only 1K. It'll probably die, so you save it. You get 2 turns of Twin Drive. Just a really good card. Moving on, we have our self-tap Brainstorm. It's a self-tap Brainstorm. It's a salvage. Salvage is good for the deck because we want to fill our grave as much as we can because we're running 8 gates, so we want to have even better selectivity all the time. The first effect, you can look at the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, put them back in that same order. It's free information. It helps you set optimal attack order, and if you're at 0, you can get really smart with it and sort of use that information to figure out how to best like level lock your opponent, depending on if they're a set that has a Ricky or something like that. You can hit them to like exactly where they won't be able to get out unless they like double Ricky or something, if they only have 1 stock. So it's good for like helping you level lock your opponent. That is one thing with this deck that I wanted to mention, is that it is definitely a deck that's more on the slower side. It's more plays a grind game. It definitely is a deck that lets you better player your opponent, despite not being as like probably as top tier at that strategy as something like ReZero, but it's still more of a grind deck, an efficient deck, stuff like that. So yeah, we play 4 of it because it's a self-rest brainstorm, and we want to mill a lot. So, yep. Moving on to the shop promo. It was the shop promo in May 2019. You can get it online. You can get it at your local LGS, wherever you can. It's a really important card for the set. It should have probably been printed in the set, so it's easier for people to get. But it is, it does exist. Thankfully, we did get it. So this card pops to stock when your opponent plays a climax, and it's a drop salvager that gives 1k after it drop salvages to any other character, so it can't buff itself. The pop to stock is really good in English specifically. You could have it in the front row and have it deny lanes for reverse, so you can deny Eren, stuff like that with AOT. And it has good synergy with your clean cut, puts your clean cut to 4k, which can kill other oversizes and clean cuts since it's a 3k, and cut any of your other utility cards to the back. So ideally, like if you're going second, or on your second turn, so you're the third turn of the game, you have 1 stock, you can play down your clean cut, play this, salvage one of your level 1 pieces, and like play your brainstorm. You get information from the top cards of your deck, you buff your clean cut, you swing in with your brainstorm, clean cut it to the back row with your clean cut, and you have this in the front row. Your opponent tries to respawn with a climax combo, and this pops the stock. So you can create some really nasty board states with this card in conjunction with clean cut and some of your other utility cards. So really, really good card for the deck. Yeah, that's about it. Moving on. All right, so we got the Karen. So this is a clock filter. These are like underrated all the time. People don't rate these highly enough, especially when you're running a more toolboxy list where having your one-ofs and stuff go to clock feels really bad, or like having multiples of your early play stuff go to clock, because you only need 1 of each. They need to be in your level for your early plays to pop off. We'll get into that when we get to the actual early plays, but it helps you not brick out in that way. Make sure that you have your important one-ofs in your hand and not in your clock. And it also mills 2 on a stick and can swing in at 35, which is, bigger than your clean cut on base, so you can clear over some lanes and get your filter at the same time. So it's a good beater, has free mill, which is good for us since we're running 8-gate as well, and has clock filter, which is an underrated effect. So a good 2-of for the deck. Helps us fix for green too, since our only other green's really the clean cut. Moving on. So this is our one-of tech card. So this card ensures that we hit our experience conditions. Basically all this deck does is it really crutches really hard on this early play strategy, and if you whiff experience, your deck doesn't work past level 2. So having one of this in the deck is just a way to ensure that we hit that experience condition every single game. And it's a global 5 cross turn, so like it's not the worst thing to have sitting in the back row, but yeah, we run one of this just to be safe. We want to make sure that we do that every single game, because otherwise we're dead in the water and we can't do anything. So really, really important card to just have in your list. If you feel like you're somehow missing experience more, you can run additional copies of this if you need to. It's pretty important. All right, moving on to level 1. So this is our level 1 climax combo. It is just a level 1 3k reverser, and on attack with the gate from the trial deck, you reveal the top card if it's avatar net. So if it's a character, if you're playing the game, add it to hand. And then we're running 8-gate, so if you think about it, you're guaranteed to plus on this on climax combo, because you either reveal a climax, add a card from your waiting room to hand, or you reveal the top card and add it to hand. So you'll always plus swinging in with this card with the climax combo every single time, which is really important for the deck. Selectivity isn't that big of a deal. We're filling our grave a lot. This deck compresses pretty well with the twin drive, so you're going to be able to constantly have a bunch of cards in waiting room. Your brainstorms are more likely to hit, so you're going to be able to sort of exchange the hand that you have for other things. You have the drop-salvager as well. So selectivity isn't much of a problem, mostly because it's also 8-gate, but if you can get to level 1 first and you can finagle that, this is really good to pre-field against Eren. It stops them from double plussing. They're still going to plus once, but if they want to run into your bomb and get reversed, they won't have pop back even if they encore them. So it prevents them from plussing twice. Pretty simple card, pretty effective. Big part is that it's on gate, unlike some of the other level 1 plussing combos, notably the bar one. It's just a unconditional plus on gate. Keep our consistency high. Moving on. So I don't think a lot of people are running this. But I really like running some 2K backups in this list since we crutch so hard on those early plays. 2K isn't a lot since these things already aren't that big, but anything helps because the early plays aren't as impactful as something like GGO or something like that. So just anything that's a stockless threat to keep these things around is pretty good. It also fixes us for like some spicy blue cards that I've thrown in my list. So that's always nice too. But yeah, it's a 2K backup. It's pretty standard. We really need to keep our early plays around, so this helps with that. You can easily cut this for an extra anti-change counter if that's what you want, which we'll get into when we get to level 2s, which are right now. So the first level 2, I think this is the card most people think about when they think about Gun Gale. So this is a level assist that helps protect our early plays since they're all kind of dinky on their own. They're just like 9-5 or 10-5. The second effect, so deploy a Smokescreen, it sounds awesome when you first read it, but it's like, it's kind of like a Timmy effect. The amount this actually saves you from getting burned out from Mikasa is so, like, very, very small percentage. Even, like, based on, the ratios that, like, AOT decks run and, like, the amount they'll be out in their deck state during that time, the times when you high roll and they're unable to ping you, even if you field multiples of these, is very, very low. However, it's mostly usable as a level assist, and what it also does is it prevents your opponent from setting or knowing the top cards of their deck. So the big thing that's big for is like Love Live Sunshine. They can't set a level 3. They have to, like, if they scry and reveal a 0, they're only out and like the only way for them to play against it at that point is to see a 0 on top, leave it, and then mill it with this, which then also means that they can burn you, but they can't set a burn. So stuff like that. Also for Goblin Slayer, you can get them to mill the first card, and even though they can't move it, the chances of the first card being clean, if they do 2 priestesses, is pretty high, but they won't know their second card, so maybe you can get their second one to whiff, or at least they have to do it blind. That's like really marginal, but like, we're more playing this for like some level since we really need to protect our early plays. But the other effect, you might high roll, you might save you versus AOT. Confirmation bias is pretty strong, so just throw this in your deck for the level assist, and maybe it'll save you a couple games. But yeah, we still run it, even though the second effect is a bit of a trap. Next card, anti-change counter. Every deck runs anti-change. Ditch 2 to waiting room anti-change is like not great. We are running 8 gate. I guess it's not that bad comparatively, but we need to run it. It's a 2,500 backup too. Helps protect our own early plays since we're spamming our own. And we don't want ours to get answered. We need to ensure that our opponent can't answer them just by playing their own early plays and swinging over us, since ours are kind of small. So not only does this provide some extra power in the form of a backup, but also anti-change. You can easily up this to 2 or more. Find the card that you like least in the list and add additional. A lot of people run even upwards of 3 of this card in these lists. Running 1 is pretty greedy, but I'll get to why in the next card. So part of the reason we're running blue, this is a bottom deck bomb. And when it dies, it goes to memory. This card is specifically in the deck to deal with Love Live Sunshine, because everyone in NA plays Love Live Sunshine. And you need a hard way to remove it because of con and backrow. So yeah, that's why this is in the list. It's a reason why I have the blue backups in there. They sort of do double duty. If you hate it, you can run another anti-change backup. That's fine. You don't have to run any of the blue. You can completely cut this, run 2 of the 2Ks, 2 of the anti-change counters. Doesn't really matter. I just really value having the sort of hard removal against Love Live Sunshine because I swear I see it every other round at every single tournament. You might be luckier than I am in terms of dodging it in bracket, but I'm just very biased against the set, and I like having tools against it, especially when I'm playing more of a grindy deck that needs to have answers to a lot of different things to elongate the game and win. So that's why I'm running, and it goes to memory. It's free plus for being a bomb. So it is what it is. It can help you out. Next card, getting into our level 3. So this is the early play Fuka. This is Baby Chika, where the green one is Baby Yo. So how this works, so the experience condition, a copy of this card and this green land down at the bottom need to be in your level for you to early play this. That's the only requirement, though. So once you have it set, your opponent can't mess with it in any way. They can't change your level or something like that. You would have to change it yourself to screw your own early play condition for this card. So that's very good. The big thing here is just like the Chika combo, when you play this, you pay an additional 1 and you get to summon the other Len from Waiting Room. And when that Len hits the field, it heals and it has some other effects. We'll get into it. So basically, for 3 stock, you get 2 early plays. Unfortunately, unlike Chika and Yo, they don't push all that damage. They don't have the on attack burn effect. So basically, what these do is they just are cheap 2 soul beaters and they heal you. So you are playing a game of like, I'm going to be more efficient than my opponent at 2. I'm going to play these. I'm going to play these every turn. I'm going to loop out. I am going to constantly be healing, constantly be slamming down level 3s. It doesn't matter if my opponent might anti-change them. I'm just going to keep playing them and keep playing them and keep playing them. So long as you can keep up your stock in hand, which you should be able to do since the deck compresses pretty well. So, but yeah, unfortunately, they're not as big as some of the other, threatening early plays and stuff like that. But it's more about efficiency and it's more about the heal. So getting into that part, let's move to the next part here. So we got the promise to be kept Len. This is the part of the package that like actually does stuff. All the Fuka does is put this on the board. So when you play this or it gets summoned by the Fuka, you heal 1. And then on attack, you can pitch 2 cards. So note that as not characters, you can pitch any 2 cards. So if you're flooded with climaxes, this is a way to get them out of your hand. On attack, you can ping 1. That sounds pretty bad, but in practice, it is a stockless burn, and it's a way for you to help close out the game at endgame. You don't have a lot of ways to do that. So anything is nice, even if it does have a quote-unquote steep cost. So again, it's the efficiency here of the package that makes it good. You're constantly getting 2 level 3s every turn. You're playing it over and over and over. You can't screw your own condition by having something moved from clock or healed out of clock or stuff like that. So you can keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. Keep healing, keep slamming these down, hopefully putting enough pressure on with just 2 soul beaters to grind out the game and win while you're still healing. But the on attack burn, it can help you get there, but that's not the main point of it. It's more about the stock efficiency here. That is the good part about this package. And we run 4 and 4, obviously. Moving on, a card that can help you stall out even more. So this is the other early play of the deck that's brimming with Fighting Spirit Len. It early plays when the Pedo Ricky is in your clock. And the cool part about this is a stock healer, right? So it heals the stock, but it heals the stock from the bottom when you pitch a card. So you can play multiple of this so long as you don't only have the Pedo in clock. So basically, overall, for 4 stock, you're going to get the Fuka, you're going to get the Len, and you're going to get this other Len for 4 stock and 1 hand, which is pretty good because you're also healing twice. So for 4 stock and 1 hand, outside of the cards you're actually playing, you get 3 level 3 beaters, 2 of which sit at 10-5, 1 of which sits at 9-5. This is better to play later on, like a level 3 when you need a healer, because hand isn't really going to be a problem when you're running 8 gates, and you're compressing pretty well with the twin drives and stuff like that. So this is better to play than sort of just playing the other Len from hand, since the other Len is just 2 stock. This is just more efficient. So it's just yet another efficient heal tool, good for helping you grind out the game, and sits at the same power as the Len, despite not having the burn effect. So it's a bit of a trade-off. The cool part is that you are healing from the bottom of your stock, so you can play multiples of this at level 2 as well. So only 3 of it, though, since the other one is our main game plan. Moving on, so this is our finisher. So Insane Len is basically just Detonative Dame Megumin, but it's not as good. And the reason for that is it doesn't blind stock. It just negs 6k somewhere. It negs 2k, then it negs 4k. Then if you reveal the 3rd character, you burn 1. So you might burn 1 in main phase, usually not. It's the big problem with these cards is when you're milling 3, you technically want to be compressed at endgame so you don't die, which directly works against these kinds of cards, which means the burn 1 rarely happens. However, if you're in a bad deck state when you're going into your quote-unquote finisher turns, this can help you mill to your next deck and maybe survive if your opponent doesn't die. So there are a lot of utility to these kinds of cards, but also drawbacks. Minus 6k overall, though, does help you clear a lot of boards. It only targets center stage, so you can't like snipe someone's back row stuff. However, you can just beat over anything that's in front of it, even though this is only swinging in at 10-5 for climax combo, because you're basically giving it plus 6k into whatever lane it swings into, or whatever lane one of your other cards swings into. So you have options. The climax combo is also pretty, whatever. It's just on attack ping 1, but you know what? That's honestly fine. Like, we're more of a grindy deck anyway. If our opponent is compressed, we want to swing for small amounts of damage anyway. Maybe ping off a climax. You get the kind of Mikasa effect. If you're lucky enough to hit this twice, where you can ping off climaxes and then swing, even though that doesn't really mean anything, and it's all confirmation bias and stuff like that. We've all seen it happen, and we've all done it to people, and it's all happened to us. So, it can happen. It's pretty decent. Only 3 of it because of all those problems I outlined. It's not impactful enough to run it that high of a count. All right, so last card at level 3. This is my spicy blue card of choice here. So what this M does is on play it top checks X, so it can help us get into the right gate for our finisher if we need it, or just get into additional healers. Sort of like the reason I decided to throw this in the list instead of the 0 Elza you see at the bottom, a lot of people do for climax swap to making sure they have the right gate, is because sometimes it's good to be able to rip an additional healer off the top of your deck since you run so many, considering the Fuka can be like pay 2, pay an additional 1, get the Len out from your grave, play that. Stuff like that. Maybe there are healers in my deck, but there aren't any climaxes left, and I need to grab one. M can help me do that. I probably have Pedo on my clock already, so blue isn't much of a problem since I had to have the early play, so the color isn't much of an issue. Damage Reflect, the second effect, it's pretty cute, but it's not as useful as you'd think. It's okay. It gives your opponent something to play around. Maybe you'll snipe a game here and there with this, but this is more for the top check X. If you hate this, or you have another level 3 that might want, like, you can just cut this and add it in, or just put in the climax swapper. It doesn't really matter. This is just sort of my preference for the additional card at the top end here. And helps, it's additional blue. I like running the Pedo Bomb. Other people don't even think about running that. So, just my preference. But if you don't like it, you can get rid of it. So, yeah, I think that's it for the list. It is a pretty simple list. Lots of 4-ofs, lots of 2-ofs. Again, you can shift a lot of these singleton cards around, other than probably the one of the climax swap here in the top right, or not climax swap, the level swapper, since hitting our experience requirement is so important. Upping the anti-change counter, depending on your meta, depending on what you expect to see, is probably a good idea. You can cut a 2k counter for that, or even cut the M for that, whatever you want to do. Those parts of the list are fairly malleable. The parts that are not are the 4-ofs of both of the level requirements, the 3-ofs of the additional early play, your level 1, level 3 climax combos you probably have a lot of, and like 4 Pedo for sure. Like Pedo, the brainstorms, and the clean cuts are like the biggest part of, like the 0 game. The Pedo is relevant all throughout the game. Really important to keep in mind. And of course, 4 gates, 4 doors, whatever you want to call them, in each level as our climax lit. As I said, we are 8 door, 8 gate, whichever you would like to call it. So basic strategy, I sort of went over what we were going in there, but the basic flow here is you have your 0 game, you're going to be using your clean cut to like cut your utility cards to the back row to get extra value out of them, whether it be stock, whether it just be extra swings in the case of the Karen after doing the more important filter effect, or getting additional twin drives, which is ridiculous to do. Having a like level 0 that you get to use for twin drive twice, keeping your stock clean in the early game is very, very, very good, because gate is really good because it's a plus, but what if you don't want to stock all your climaxes? Getting multiple turns of Pedo with clean cut is really, really good for the deck. That gets into your level 1 game, you play these bombs, hopefully you get to level 1 first. Even if you don't, you run these in, you get your plus, you're out of there. You don't really care. You're already setting, at this point, you've basically set yourself up for your level 2 strategy, which you basically just loop these 3 cards over and over and over again until you can't do it anymore. Sometimes it's the right play to continue doing it all throughout level 3, if stalling out is the better way to go. And yeah, when you get to a point where you think you might be able to end your opponent, which probably is like, I don't think you can push in this deck. You can probably push from, like, in my experience, like maybe from 3-1 if you have 3 instances of ping 1 on attack, and like maybe one of your insane lens was lucky to hit. But more often than not, you can't push for the game until like 3-3, maybe 3-2. for endgame. You are very much a grind deck. But yeah, that's sort of the basic flow of the deck. Very simple strategy. And I think that's sort of why a lot of people, like I said earlier, gravitate towards this list. Is like it is a directed one-track strategy, but it's very consistent and at doing what it wants to do, and you get to do it every single game. And over a long tournament, that's something people value, the fact that it's very consistent. And I think that's the reason why we saw more of it than maybe we expected to see this past season. So lastly, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Gonna try to include slides like this at the ends of all our videos that we do, at the ends of our set reviews and stuff like that. Just because there are some people that find Weiss resources on YouTube and don't know other places to go. So the big things are the two Discords, the card game Discord and the competitive Weiss Schwartz Discord. There are lots of ways to talk about the meta game, ask for ruling questions, stuff like that, even catch online games, whether that be through webcam or tabletop simulators, so something to keep in mind. Both of the Facebook groups are primarily buy-sell trade groups, but discussion does frequently happen in the global community, and you can also get your card of the day reveals and stuff like that from the global community, so definitely something to check out. Also have the Twitters of both myself and all the other members that you see regularly in our videos listed down below. Give us a follow if that is something you're interested in doing. I tweet about Weiss fairly often, but I don't know about the other guys. So your mileage may vary. If you're on Twitter, though, give us a follow. But yeah, like I said earlier, let us know what you think about this format down in the comments. We're definitely willing to do more of these, more like not so much in depth, but ones with more of a visual aid, ones more digital. Instead of just looking at a deck building website or something like that, put something like this together, have a little bit more information out there, something a little bit more visually pleasing. So let me know what you think. Going forward, though, we'll probably still have some more like camera deck techs coming, just because of our scheduling and like meeting up and stuff like that. So if we can get some quiet, nice, good lighting areas to film, we'll get some more camera deck techs out too, because that lets us put stuff out even faster than this. So being able to do both will be nice in the future. So let us know what you think down in the comments. Other things coming: Fujimi is in the works. We're getting there. By the time this goes up, probably following that next week, Fujimi will start releasing. We have a special guest on that too. We're going to try to keep doing that, so keep your eyes peeled. Other than that, I think that's it. Pittsburgh Weiss Schwartz signing off. I'll see you guys in the next one.